There it is, folks. Metal Gear
Ta-da!
Solid 2, Sons of Liberty.
Easily one of my favorite video games. Like, I tend not to give favorites out to things. Like, usually I'm like, I like this, but I'm not gonna like put a number one on it. But this is one of the rare instances in which I do. I love this game so much.
Well, explain to us. Start like from the beginning. How like when you first experienced it. Walk us through how you became so in love with the game.
Very interesting. That's a very interesting experience, actually. So, me and my dad, we were walking through this market in our country somewhere, like in this small town. They had this market, and there were a lot of stands that sold food, and some that sold fabric, and there was one that sold secondhand video games for an outdated console known as the original Xbox. And so we were just looking through these games, and he picked out Metal Gear Solid 2, and he said, dude, like, I've played the original Metal Gear on the MSX all the time. And I was like, I have never heard of this before. So essentially we got home that day.
Wait,
and he
so
booted
this
up
was
the game, and I just...
Oh, I'm sorry, this was your first Metal Gear game?
Yeah, 2 was my first.
No way. Okay, continue, proceed.
And so I watched him play the tanker section, and my dad looked a little like Solid Snake, especially after he started growing the beard. Like there were kind of a lot of similarities between them, and the fact that they both smoked. So it was like he reminds me a lot of my dad, and
that's cool.
I had very fond memories of watching him play the tanker section, and I remember very vividly that it took us a while the first time to get to Metal Gear, and I remember us arguing about what was it going to be, because neither of us had any idea what kind of thing we had waiting for us at the end of the tanker. So at first, my dad was like, "It's a computer," and I was like, "Okay, cool." And then he was like, "It's a bomb," and I was like, "Okay, cool." And then this fucking huge mechanical abomination shows up, and that turns out to be Metal Gear, and like 10-year-old me is just there like.
Metal Gear Ray, right? Ray. This was Ray, wasn't it?
That stuff was amazing.
Metal Gear Ray, right?
So, yeah, Metal Gear Ray. It's,
okay.
I used to have a preference for Rex because I do like bulky mechanical design, but I've really come around to loving Ray's design so much.
Yeah, that's
Speaking of Ray's design, just a little tangent. I did this post on DeviantArt the other day, and yes, I know DeviantArt has kind of a cringe reputation, but I don't have any other place to post my drawings. Don't at me.
You see, folks, he makes do with what he's got.
Yeah, I roll with what I got. So essentially, I decided, because I wanted to do some fan art for the game when I finished streaming it. So I wanted to do a portrait for Raiden initially, and I suck at portraits, so I tried that and it didn't really work. So then my inner degenerate was like, hey, what if we took Metal Gear Ray and we turned it into an anime girl? And so I did.
Oh no!
13 hours later, 13 hours later, I had a somewhat acceptable result, I guess.
Is that one of your more prouder masterpieces?
I guess the proudest thing that I've done is my model, specifically because I was able to pick up Live 2D in like a week, never having used it before. So even though art-wise it's by far not the best thing that I've done, I'm really glad with how it turned out and that it just functions at all.
So,
but yeah. So,
back to Metal Gear.
Yeah. So I saw, I was the kind of kid that would always read the manual for a game, you know?
Oh,
and
okay.
when Dad wasn't playing it, I just, took the manual out of the box and I started reading stuff. And one of the characters' portraits that really intrigued me for some reason was Fatman's, and I really wanted to see what his deal was. But I never saw my dad play much plant section, because he would always play after I'd go to bed.
Oh, so wait, did he fight Fatman without you?
Times that were very inconvenient for me, so I never saw... I don't remember seeing Raiden, actually.
Oh.
I don't remember... there's only one thing of the tanker section, of the plant section, that I do remember, and that is that Pliskin suddenly showed up, and I was like, dude, that's Solid Snake, and but I was like, no, like the name is different. And I was like, no, man, he totally has the same voice actor and the same face. It's Solid Snake, man.
Wasn't it like Iroquois Pliskin or something like that, his name?
Yeah, Iroquois Pliskin. You nailed the pronunciation. That's exactly it.
Awesome. Hey, I'm a Metal Gear fan myself,
and
so go on.
I remember that, but I don't remember Raiden very well. But then a couple years later, I was playing. I never played the game myself for a long time, and I was playing Smash Brothers at some point,
Mm-hmm.
and I was reading like the trophy info for fucking Metal Gear Rex or something.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, "Hey, if you're so interested in Metal Gear lore, why not just play the damn game?" And I did.
So that was when you first played it, finally.
Yeah, I can't have been older than 13 when I did it when I played the first time. It was kind of a trip because I remember my dad telling me that he got stuck at this part where he had to rescue the president.
Oh, yes.
And that's kind of when the game starts to unravel, so he missed some of the most mindfucky shit I've ever experienced in any video game at all. Just ever.
Wow.
Like, people gave Doki Doki Literature Club a lot of credit for that. People gave Psycho Mantis a lot of credit for that. And both of those are totally justified. But nothing will ever beat the experience of, Raiden, turn the game console off right now. Funny, when I got to that the first time, because I fucked around a lot in that game. Like, when I got to that the first time, I'd been playing for, I think, at least 3 hours straight. Maximum 5. And when I got to that, I was like, is this something that the game does when I've legitimately been playing too long? And I actually deadass turned off the console.
Whoa, it got you.
Yeah, it got me. It got me. And then there's I mean, major spoilers, by the way.
Yes, careful, folks. There's going to be spoilers abound here. So he's talking about a great game.
What I've been discussing so far is out of context, but now I'm going to be going a little deeper into specific events that happen at the ending. So if you want to play the game, which I highly recommend you do, then
I second that.
Yeah, tune back in later because I am going to destroy the entire experience for you.
Yeah, it's really something to behold with going in blind.
Yeah, you really have to go in blind to get the maximum effect. But
anyway, proceed.
So yeah, later when the Colonel starts going insane, and that it was before the reveal that he's an AI, but there's this one call that if you finish it, then the place where the Soliton radar usually would be is just live action footage of this girl in like a hammock or something. And I was convinced that they were going to pull the cheap jump scare card on me. So every time that the Colonel called, I was like, oh no, like, goddamn, I swear the next call is just going to replace my Soliton radar with a jump scare thing or something. I was so on edge. So I didn't know how to proceed through that hall where Snake eventually saves you. And then when I read that I had to take all the Colonel's calls, I was like, I really don't want to.
It's been a while. That was the part where he shows up and fights Fortune, right? For the second.
Oh yeah, he has such a good line there. Like I quoted it during my Resident Evil stream, but I just love how Fortune's been set up as like this immortal character essentially that's very melancholy about the fact that she thinks Snake killed her dad, and this absolute legend just picks up his M16 and goes, "You want eternal rest? I've got it right here." Like that shit.
Nice.
That shit has stayed with me.
Cheers, cheers. That was Nixie, by the way, folks. That wasn't audio clipped. That was his voice. He did that.
I've been working on my Snake impression for a little bit because since Fallout New Vegas, no, since I've been streaming Killer 7, actually, I always just like to randomly go, "Colonel, I'm trying to sneak around, but I'm dummy thick. And the top of my ass cheeks, he's alerting the guards."
Those are some nice cheeks.
I love that meme so much. But so I always give this game specifically a lot of credits, and I've always been very impressed with the ending, but since I watched another movie recently that tried to do, or at least it felt like it tried to do something similar, but it failed, that's when I realized specifically why I think this game is so good. It's because the movie that I was mentioning has this 15-minute sequence where you just have no idea what the fuck is going on, and it's all supposed to be deeply metaphorical, but it doesn't have a surface level. And Metal Gear Solid 2 has a surface level ending, but you can also read deeper into it and go, holy shit, Kojima just predicted the future here.
It's very true, very true. But I mean, he's a great storyteller, so.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing that really, I mean, this is a more personal thing. Like, I did mention earlier that Solid Snake always reminded me of my dad.
Yes.
So what really helped me get attached to Raiden specifically, and what also helps with me, like, a lot of people complained about him replacing Snake for 2.
Yep.
But I think his inclusion makes the game better. And that's from a narrative standpoint, but also from a personal standpoint. Because when I played the game the first time and I got to Raiden, and I was like, wait a second, they called him Snake, but his voice is different.
Yeah.
And then he took off that mask, and I was like, holy shit, he's also like this kid-looking guy with long hair. And then Snake showed up to be kind of a mentor figure, and that really helped establish a sort of connection between Raiden and me.
Oh, yeah, that's nice when real life kind of correlates with the fiction. It adds a nuance that a lot of people appreciate.
That's why I also appreciate the ending from a character perspective, because they spend the entire game developing Raiden, like giving him his own quirks, his own personality, his own story, and then at the ending they just rip him to shreds. Not literally, but like on the personal level.
Absolutely.
Like where the AI is just like, you think you've been doing all these things on your own, but everything that you have, all your ideals, are just cobbled together from things you've heard from other people. You are not a real person, and you lack the qualifications to exercise free will. And that stuck with me. That stuck with me really hard, because, like I said, not only had I been connected to Raiden for a while, but like I'd been playing the game for a long time up to that point. So
to hear that's kind of like a punch in the gut.
Yeah, that shit hit hard. And then that last codec call, it happens when you call the Colonel during the Solidus boss fight, where they explain why the name Raiden, why they went for that name. It's because it's the official name for a fighter jet in World War II that the Japanese used, and the Americans called it Jack, which is his real name. And I was just there like, oh,
I don't think I got that codec.
Mine is blown several times over.
Wow.
But now there's a lot of people I think have taken inspiration from both I think this game's ending and Psycho Mantis in, like, for example, indie development.
Yes.
So I do really appreciate those moments. Like, for example, Doki Literature Club is another game that I really love, and they do something similar. But like it never really had the same impact. Like, it only worked for me once, because now I can kind of pick up signs of, oh, this is all going to go downhill, and I kind of get what direction they're going in now.
It kind of happens when you start from the top down, and not making fun of anything that tells the story less, like Nixie said, but Metal Gear Solid 2's way of handling what he just described is so intricate that you start at a top level, then anything you see anything less, you can kind of pick up the signs along the way. So
exactly. And another thing that I think is really good is they reference the first game a lot, but you don't need it to enjoy the game.
Absolutely not. Yes, in fact,
I definitely didn't, because up to this day, I watched the first game's cutscenes of both the original and the Twin Snakes. I watched them on YouTube, but it's only since I really got into streaming and I decided I must stream Metal Gear Solid 2 once, because I really need to share my love with this game, for this game, with like the 2 viewers that I have that show up, because
that's 2 more than nothing.
That's exactly. How many people I can introduce to this game, the more the better.
Yes.
So,
oh, sorry. Yeah, go on.
So that's when I figured out that the same platform that offers 2 also offers 1. So I might play that one a little later.
Ooh, you mean the original?
Yeah, the absolute original Metal Gear Solid, then.
Yes, Metal Gear Solid, not the Metal Gears.
A fun thing, like, I do have the original MSX games, because they came with the Legacy Collection, which contained an HD remake of 2. It had the remake. It's
3.
Remastered.
It had Snake Eater, I believe, as well.
Snake Eater and Peace Walker. And Peace Walker was the main reason why I wanted to have it, because a friend of mine also played that one, and I was just really intrigued by its structure and the weird. Like, especially Metal Gear Zeke was like one of the main draws to that game for me specifically.
Yes,
but
Zeke.
Getting back to 2, because I'm getting off topic here. Like I said, I can go on about Metal Gear for days.
There's no reason why you wouldn't be able to there's even days worth of content, even if you were just to recite the whole thing.
Yeah. Especially if you want to make it cohesive, because you can. Like, Metal Gear Solid 2 can be summed up as The Patriots, and the entry where you fight a former U.S. president with a katana on the top of Federal Hall.
That is a good way to put it.
Which is the canonical ending, by the way, and I think it's amazing. But another thing that I really like about Snake specifically in that game is that he kind of... He's the only thing anchoring you to your sanity during the final act of the game, I think.
Yeah, the way Kojima
Because
presented him,
nothing
yeah.
anybody says is trustworthy. Like,
That's
at
true.
first they prove that like your whole life is a lie because you've actually been adopted by Solidus and you haven't had any VR training. Those are just implanted memories and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the reveal that Solidus has been lied to by Ocelot because S3 actually doesn't stand for Solid Snake Simulation, but Selection for Societal Sanity. That's a
Yes.
fucking tongue twister if I've ever seen one. But like everything just unravels in a really nice way. But Snake is there to kind of keep you optimistic because the tone of that AI conversation, that 15 minutes mind fuck at the end of the game just before the Solidus fight. If it were to end just on that, then it would be a very depressing game. But I think Snake having this message of hope just at the end, I think that's I think that seals the deal for me, and that's why I can actually say that I think the game has a really good ending.
Well, absolutely.
Not only because it unravels, but also because it carries a legitimate message of hope that hey, like life isn't just about spreading your ideas and spreading your genes. Like you can do other things.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the prime things because, like I said, I played this game relatively early. That's one of the things that I actually live my life by. Because
wow, nice thing to live
there's
by.
a lot of people who say things like, "Oh yeah, we've been like biologically engineered to just reproduce," and I'm like, dude, like human society is so much more advanced than that, so much more. I know there's so much more going on there than just yes, must eat, must reproduce, that sort of stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's basic.
So, yeah, exactly. So I always think that it's functioning on caveman logic, and if you function on caveman logic, you ignore so many beautiful things in life, and that's what I think is one of the good things about Metal Gear Solid 2's ending. Like,
no, I agree. Whenever something crazy, like you said, a total mindfuck comes in, sometimes creators have a tendency to get into that depressed state without offering any solutions afterwards. Like they want to...
yeah, that's true.
So,
not gonna lie, I am one of those authors.
Yes, but you may be that, but you can appreciate it when somebody does offer, like you said, a legitimate look at hope. And
yeah, that's true. That's true.
And Snake, so yeah, it doesn't matter if that's not something that you can often create, but you can at least appreciate it, and you clearly do. So
yeah, like
and,
it's not just the game's ending, which is what I usually give it the most credit for because it's genuinely amazing, but like all the things they do in the middle as well. I think, for example, I mentioned this in private conversations. Excuse me, but I think Fatman, for example, as like a sort of minor villain, he's kind of like if Metal Gear Solid 2 were an anime, he'd just be an arc.
Yeah, the Fatman arc.
He wouldn't be the main plot. Like when you start off the tanker section, the plant section, I always get the names mixed up. I know the locations like the back of my hand, but like when you start the plant chapter, then you just start with the Fatman arc essentially. And I think why he's so good is that they set him up throughout the course of the game essentially to be this mad genius. Well, not necessarily mad. He's just a genius. He's literally a kid that built an atomic bomb at age 10. He outsmarted Peter Stillman, literally lore-wise, the best bomb disposal guy there is.
And also Fatman's mentor. He's also his mentor. So.
Exactly, also Fatman's mentor. So everything, in theory, everything that he should know should be taught to him by Stillman. But he outsmarted him because he's just such a mad lad. And then you meet him for the first time because there's been all this build-up, and you never really get to see his face much.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see like these vague illustrations, and in half of them, his face is like covered up by the blast suit thingy.
Yeah. And then
when you finally do meet him, it was such a subversion of expectations the first time, man. Especially... I expected him to have like this very deep voice, and then when he comes out with fucking "Life is short,"
yes, you know, that's Fatman.
Caught off guard by him. Yeah, I when I streamed it, I kind of mimicked most of that speech from memory, and some things that I wasn't exactly sure on, I just used the subtitles for.
Exactly, and since you yourself are into art, you can always go, "How dare you! I am an artist."
I actually did, and I clipped that. I did. I also did the line Raiden says because I thought it would be funny. Just like you're nothing but a common criminal, and that's the only way people will ever remember you. How dare you? I'm an artist. I live for that shit.
Again, back on your point of Solid Snake, why he's such a grounding character. I think that's in the way Kojima developed the character, that he's not easily swayed by the logic of others or the Patriots. He just stands his ground, and he is stern, and he believes in his beliefs, and that in
he is his own man, essentially. And I think that is really nice that they carried that over to Raiden in Metal Gear Rising specifically, because that is something that he actually says.
Right.
Metal Gear Rising is another game that I really love and that I could go on for hours about. Like, specifically in Metal Gear Solid 2, another thing that I think people don't acknowledge when they complain about Raiden replacing Snake is, like, you could talk shit about his character all you want, and I'll disagree, but I'll get it. You know, I understand what you're coming from. But if you were playing specifically the plant section as Snake, he's not fazed by any of this. He's done this before, and he knows what he's doing. So, well, yeah, it would be fun to have, like, the full arsenal of weapons that Snake takes with him on, like, his philanthropy missions and shit. I think that having a character that learns as you learn and that's actually fazed by those discoveries is the superior decision when you're going for a narrative like this that hinges mostly on mystery and stuff.
True, and the great what complements is the fact that storytelling really complements a gameplay aspect.
Yeah. Like, the game genuinely, for as much as it's, like, pretty simple, it does manage to throw you for a loop multiple times.
Yes.
Like, the first instance of that happening, if I'm not mistaken, is just it's somewhere early in the plant section, I believe. Oh yeah, it's Fortune's boss battle. That's such a big middle finger to conventional boss design because you can't do anything. It's literally just current objective survive. What I think makes it slightly hilarious, though, is the fact that, like, your health bar takes up, like, a decent amount of the screen, and Fortune has, like, you could slap her and her health bar would go all the way down. That's how little health she has. But because all of your ammunition veers off her and you can't physically get close to her,
yes,
you can't do anything.
That is the point, probably. It's like, I can kill her with one shot, and I can't kill her with one shot. Damn it, kind of thing.
Exactly. Another thing that I think is funny, I'm going to go into a bunch of Easter eggs that I discovered.
Yes, please, share the Easter eggs.
Some of them I did discover, and some I just read on the wiki and memorized. So, there's this one, when you go into Shell 2 to the core, and you need to go rescue Emma, there's this one bit where you open up a door, and then Stillman's lifeless body drifts out.
Yeah.
That scared the shit out of me the first time I played it, by the way. But what I didn't know for the longest time is that if you were to look at his model that's just drifting there, and you were to call Snake, then Raiden will just go, "Snake, Stillman's here," and Snake's just like, "Uh-huh, he was waiting for me, uh-huh," and then it just ends. That's the entire conversation.
I didn't know that.
Another thing that you could do is if you were to, when Snake goes into Shell 2, and you immediately try to follow him, just the first bridge, usually you would fuck around in strut C, but if you were to immediately follow where he's going, to strut D, then you can spot him having knocked out a guard or two and running in a cardboard box. And if you shoot that cardboard box, he'll confront you about it later.
Oh, really? So he doesn't do it right there? He confronted you later?
Yeah, via codec. If I'm not mistaken, it's something about that you shouldn't shoot cardboard boxes. I can't remember how that call goes exactly, but...
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, did you also know that there's 2 ways to make Rose refuse to save the game for you?
No, I didn't know that. I don't know much of the Easter eggs. I just remember playing through the story and loving it, so...
Okay, so what you can do is... There's 2 ways you can achieve this, and I showed one of them on stream. The first is by being accurate and just shooting a lot of the seagulls in the air, and eventually the colonel will call you like, "Raiden, do you actually enjoy abusing helpless animals?" And then the next time you call into Rose when you want to save the game, then the only 2 options you can choose from are "don't save" and "I won't make you save." And you have to apologize to her first. It's fucking hilarious. And the other thing that you can do is if you pick up one of the books, they're essentially porn magazines, but they're called book in game, probably to keep the 16 and up thing instead of 18 and up.
Yeah.
But if you take one of those things, go into one of the bathrooms and strut C, and were then to call the Colonel, then he would also flip out at you, and Rose will also refuse to save your game.
Well, so abusing pigeons and going in for some personal time with magazines.
Exactly. And another thing you can do during codec calls is if you hit the triggers, you can, depending on which trigger you hit, you can give a positive or negative response. So when another character is talking and you hit the trigger, you can say something like, "That's exactly it," or "No way," you know? So when I was streaming it, there was this one moment where, like I said, I was showcasing this Easter egg where Rose refuses to make you save. And in this call, there's this one moment where she says, "So what exactly are you going to do? Drool over pictures of voluptuous girls?" And when I hit the affirmative button, Raiden responded with, "That's exactly it." And I just fucking died.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Just hearing it makes me laugh.
Yeah, I think I clipped that. Just I could send you that one time. It's fucking hilarious.
There's a man who's confident in his self-beatings.
Yeah, and then there's also, like, you can do that during any moments. When any other character is talking, you can just hit the triggers and give any kind of response. So, for example, when the Colonel's all like, "Right, and you have to rescue the president," you can just be like, "Hell no," or "Why don't you do it?"
My goodness.
The responses are random, but I had it once that the Colonel told me to do something, and I just responded with, "Why don't you do it?"
Wow.
Right, and you can do the fighting. I'll do the fighting. You can just go home. I always found that funny because I immediately got this mental image of the Colonel actually just straight up dropping into Arsenal gear and just capping people.
Now that would be a mindfuck.
Yeah. And they actually did that with Metal Gear Solid 3, by the way. They had these in one of the specific versions, and it's not the one that I have, sadly. I think it's like, I don't know, it was for a console that I didn't have. But essentially they had these animations that they did with all the in-game models, and one of them was simply called Metal Gear Sigint, and they had a lot of pivotal moments during the Metal Gear Solid 3 campaign, and instead of using Snake for them, they used Sigint, the support character.
Yeah. Oh,
Sigint. Who would eventually become Donald Anderson.
Sigint. Yes, Sigint, Donald Anderson, member of the Patriots. Sorry for the spoilers, folks. Yep.
So, yeah, precisely. So he would then be there, and Solid Snake would just be jealously standing in the corner there, like, "Damn it, he's stealing my moment again."
Oh, I did not know that either. That's cool. That's funny.
You can find those on YouTube. I absolutely recommend you do it because it's hilarious. It's just the perfect example of the game's developers having fun with the characters without affecting the narrative too much. Yeah. Because it's literally just side content.
That's respect for you. That's respect. It's good to respect your own work, but to have fun at the same time. Not to take it too seriously, right? But
yeah, precisely.
Exactly.
That's why they had Major Ivan Raidenovich Rykov in 3, who was basically just Raiden but Russian.
Yes. What was I going to say? No, I'm glad.
You could also.
Oh, go on.
In 2, that's an Easter egg that I did want to mention just now. I mean, I'm kind of cutting the subject back to 2 again.
Yeah, go right back into it.
This is one that I don't remember seeing online anywhere, but it could be that that somebody uploaded it before me. I hadn't checked, but essentially, during the Fatman boss battle, essentially how it works, if you're not familiar, is he just goes around this helipad on roller skates, and he places packets of C4 against random surfaces. And you have to use your coolant spray to disable the bombs temporarily. And in the meantime, Fatman will just be fucking around somewhere.
Yep.
Like driving in circles, that sort of thing. Because he's on roller skates, it's really dumb. But one thing I figured out you could do a couple years back is there's this timer that counts down until, yeah, the bombs explode. But one thing I don't think they intentionally did, it kind of reads as more of a glitch to me, but I don't know, is if you were to freeze all of the bombs except for one, and you still have like 20 seconds left, and you shoot Fatman, like you drain either his health or his stamina bar before this bomb explodes, and you shoot him in his head again, he'll just be launched backwards a meter or two. And
I saw the highlight. I watched your video when you did that. I saw it. I was like, whoa! And he never dies. He can keep doing that.
He just keeps going, and he doesn't go. He doesn't fall off the walls either. He just keeps going. It's
Yes, after
it's hilarious.
After Nixie told me about that, I had to check it out. I was like, oh, this must be what he's talking about right here. I'm like, whoa, look at that. Look at him flip. Look at him go. Now, personally, I think the roller skates are kind of cool, though. I like the roller skates. I thought it was a cool character
I do think
quirk.
it's really fun, though. It's not only like a character quirk, but it really, without them, the boss fight wouldn't be the same.
It's true. Yeah,
Because then he'd just be walking at the same speed of you, or maybe like slightly faster, slightly slower. I don't know. But that would kind of remove his mobility advantage, which makes him like a harder target, especially when you're trying to defuse bombs. I mean, sometimes he'll just go stand next to you and try and fucking cap you in the head with his Glock. But
yeah, exactly. So there you have it, folks. That little Easter egg. I don't know if anyone else had done it. If you know anybody, share with Nixie. Otherwise, he's the first to discover. Fatman don't die, and you can keep on flipping his butt nonstop.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So yeah, I think, like I said, I could go on for this for a long time, but I think I got most of the main points now.
All right. Well.
Oh wait, no. I remembered a few. I remembered a few dumb Easter eggs in the tanker section, because there's a bunch there too.
All right, bring in a few of them, and then we can wrap up this corner with something really nice. So.
Because I figured we've already been going for a while, so one of the ones that I know that other people have uploaded it before me. Like, I definitely knew that, but I did discover it on my own. Essentially, in the tanker section, in the main hangar hall, not the main hangar, in the engine room, like the big engine room.
Yeah.
There's this eventually there's this sort of railing that you can stand next to. I don't know how exactly I can describe the exact place, but it's somewhere in the middle, I guess. It's somewhere in the middle, and if you were to face one of the walls in the distance, you can see this weird, I guess, beige-ish colored square, and if you shoot it, it explodes. And I was always like, what is that? But apparently, I can't remember what game mode this was. I think it was Snake Tales. But eventually, there is an option to go into the tanker with a PSG-1. And if you were to zoom in on that weird square, it's literally a poster of someone's face. And if you shoot it, it explodes and alerts all the guards.
Wow, that poster's a no-no.
Exactly. It's a very big no-no. And, and a few others that I really, really enjoy is... If you go into the second room of the hangars where the commandant is giving a speech,
yes,
there's two of these projectors there instead of one. You can walk up to these and hit Y, or at least the action button. You can hit the action button, and you can manually switch what monitor he'll go to. But if you do that too much, you'll be locked into a cutscene sequence where you're essentially just switching him all over the place, and then eventually you're replacing one of the monitors with again, random live action footage of... I guess it was just a woman smiling.
Wait. I remember that one. I remember that Easter egg. I think my brother and I accidentally did that one when we first were like, what the heck? I remember
And then
that.
there's also... there's this one Marine in the first room who will, if I'm not mistaken, he will always stand there in his underwear. You just have to kind of spot him. And if you make a picture of him and send it to Otacon, then he'll laugh his ass off.
I know that one too. Yes, I think when we spotted that, we were like, what the heck?
Yeah. There's also a certain... I don't know what the exact condition for it is. Because there's a lot of weird Easter eggs that trigger if you match a certain set of... if you reach a certain set of criteria. And if you... I think it has something to do with how fast you are, but I'm not sure. Anyway, there is one way, and I've achieved it before, but I don't know how I did it, is... where all of the Marines will be replaced with the model of the underwear dude.
Whoa.
So the entire room will just be full of essentially that guy. And if you make a picture of that, you'll get the same reaction from Otacon.
Well, I'd expect no less from Otacon. And
like
no...
in the plant, this is the last Easter egg that I want to showcase.
Okay.
This is also a pretty well known one, but essentially if you go into Strut, I think it was Strut G or something, or Strut J, something like that. I think it's J. But essentially, it's one of those struts that you just kind of pass by the outside of.
Oh no, this is not the peeing guy, is it?
It is that one. It is that one.
Yes, we got that by accident the first time, and when we played it again, we're like, "Hey, where is he?" we thought we thought
I know what the trigger for him is.
what is it? We thought it was mandatory, but it was we just ran into it.
It's not mandatory. It's not mandatory. The trigger for him is that you go through that area without being alerted. Because if he's alerted, if the guards are alerted in that section, then the alarms will go off and that guy will go downstairs.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we're bringing up is this guy takes a great big solid stream of piss, and it lasts forever. And you can be right under the stream trying to stealth your way, and it just pours down like a thin waterfall. It's hilarious.
If you call the colonel, then he'll say they call these sorts of operations wet works for a reason.
Oh, he had to pun it. He had to pun it.
Yeah, and then Rose will respond with, "Hey, like it's perfectly fine as long as you take a shower the second you get back." And I achieved that Easter egg during my stream of the game.
Oh,
and
nice.
then during the ending when you meet Rose again, I'm like, "Hey Rose, I still didn't take that shower that you wanted me to. Still didn't take that shower you wanted me to have."
Dun dun dun, cliffhanger. That's the real reason they split.
Another one was like the dog tags at the end of the game. They like it's a well-known fact that they have your name on them.
Yeah.
But I just had to joke around with that. So when he throws these things away, like never heard the name before, it was like, Raiden, you're hurting my feelings, man.
I saw that part of the highlights. You work so hard, and he's so mean to you. You played as him. You related to him, and now you're just trash.
Yeah. No, but I do like that. Like I said, it's wait, I didn't highlight that part. It's a way of him rejecting the control of both the player and the Patriots.
Yes, absolutely. So
it's all a deep metaphor. Sorry.
No, it's still fine. So anyway, thank you, Metal Gear Solid 2. You gave Nixie a great childhood game with his father, and surprisingly nice relations in real life, which is excellent. That was you gotta always appreciate. He really loved your game. Turned the term mindfuck really up to 11, as they say. And Metal Gear Solid 2, everyone, Sons of Liberty. Fantastic game. You heard it from Nixie. He's not over-exaggerating. These really are, it really is just that cool. So.
Yeah. And like I said, with all these Easter eggs that you're not going to be able to trigger on your first run, it has so much replay value. It's not just because it has a good story, you can just keep going forever.
So there you have it, folks. Give it a shot. I recommend it too. I'm not as, what's the word? I don't know it as well as Nixie, but I'm pretty sure...
You're not as obsessed as me. That's the good term.
Obsessed. I don't know. If it's something that brings you joy and it keeps you in a healthy mindset, obsession is unhealthy. I'd say you're just a big fan.
I'm a very big fan. I was just kind of joking around there.
Oh, you got me. So, let's move on back to the guest stage. Thank you for sharing this with us, your love of Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty.